Two-dimensionalism. Two-dimensionalism is an approach to semantics in analytic philosophy. It is a theory of how to determine the sense and reference of a word and the truth value of a sentence. It is intended to resolve the puzzle. How is it possible to discover empirically that a necessary truth is true? Two-dimensionalism provides an analysis of the semantics of words and sentences that make sense of this possibility. The theory was first developed by Robert Stalnaker, but it has been advocated by numerous philosophers since, including David Chalmers. Explanation of two-dimensional semantics. Any given sentence, for example the words water is H2O, is taken to express two distinct propositions, often referred to as a primary intention and a secondary intention, which together compose its meaning. The primary intention of a word or sentence is its sense, i.e., is the idea or method by which we find its referent. The primary intention of water might be a description, such as watery stuff. The thing picked out by the primary intention of water could have been otherwise. For example, on some other world where the inhabitants take water to mean watery stuff, but where the chemical makeup of watery stuff is not H2O, it is not the case that water is H2O for that world. The secondary intention of water is whatever thing water happens to pick out in this world, whatever that world happens to be. So if we assign water the primary intention watery stuff, then the secondary intention of water is H2O, since H2O is watery stuff in this world. The secondary intention of water in our world is H2O, which is H2O in every world because unlike watery stuff, it is impossible for H2O to be other than H2O. When considering according to this secondary intention water is H2O, it's true in every world. Impact of two-dimensionalism, if you understood that explanation. If two-dimensionalism is workable, it solves some very important problems in the philosophy of language. Sol Kripke has argued that water is H2O. An example is a necessary truth which is true a posteriori, since we had to discover that water was H2O. But given that it is true, which it is, it cannot be false. It would be absurd to claim that something that is water is not H2O, for these are known to be identical. However, this contention that one and the same proposition can be both a posteriori and necessary is considered absurd by some philosophers, as is Kripke's paired claim that the same proposition can be both a priori and contingent. For example, Robert Stalnaker's account of knowledge represents knowledge as a relation of possible worlds, which entails that it is impossible for a proposition to fail to be a priori given that it is necessary. This can be proven as follows. If a proposition P is necessary, it is true in all possible worlds. If P is true at all possible worlds, and what we know are sets of possible worlds, then it is not possible not to know that P, for P is the case at all possible worlds in the set of worlds that we know. So if P is necessary, then we know it necessarily, and ipso facto we know it a priori. Under two-dimensionalism, the problem disappears. The primary intention of water is H2O is the posteriori component, since it is the condition that the referent of water is H2O, while the secondary intention is the necessary component of the sentence, since it is necessary that the stuff that we in fact call water is H2O. Neither intention gives us both a necessary and a posterior component, but one gets the false impression that the sentence expresses a necessary posteriori proposition because this single sentence expresses two propositions, one a posteriori and one a necessary. In philosophy of mind, two-dimensional semantics has been used by David Chalmers to counter objections to the various arguments against materialism in the philosophy of mind. Specifically, Chalmers deploys two-dimensional semantics to bridge the gap between epistemic and modal domains in arguing from knowability or epistemic conceivability to what is necessary or possible modalities. Criticism. Scott Soames is a notable opponent of two-dimensionalism, which he sees as an attempt to revive the Russellian Fregean descripticism and to overturn what he sees as a revolution in semantics begun by Kripke and others. Soames argues that two-dimensional stems from a misreading of passages in Kripke, 1980, as well as Kaplan, 1989. This concludes my discussion on what seems to be subject matter which wasn't actually written by anyone trying to explain anything in the first place. They were just writing for the sake of writing. Thank you.